guys, welcome to Validated by Victoria. It's your host here, Victoria Vesh, and I have a special guest in the house. It's Alison Bowles.
Hello.
What up? There's a beautiful beauty queen, an influencer. We're going to talk all things social media, dating. She's going to tell us how she met her beautiful fiance. They're such a beautiful couple. Yeah, we're just going to go right into it. So, Alison, what is up? You drove all the way up here. I appreciate you coming up here.
There's a lot of construction on the way here.
Oh, gosh. I'm learning, like, Florida, there's, like, a lot of freaking traffic that's moving down here.
And people drive like maniacs. I almost died 5 times on the way here.
Really?
But I made it in one piece.
She almost died on the way here, y'all, and she made it.
I know that sounds dramatic, but in Florida, honestly, like, it's the truth. Car insurance, I think, is, like, 8 times higher here than any other state for a reason.
And yeah, if you get in a car accident, shameless plug, hire the Berman Law Group, and we're at the Berman Law Group studios. But yeah, I've learned drivers here are freaking crazy. I'm like a southern, like, slow driver, and I'm like trying to get to places. It doesn't work out. So I got to be like aggressive New York almost around here.
Well, it's like it gives you so much anxiety driving because usually you can just relax and drive, but here I have to be like, oh my god,
like defensive driving.
Here. Like you just have to expect people to cut you off because they will every 2 seconds.
Like so many people have moved down here to Florida, me included, but like it's wild. I had to drive to Fort Lauderdale today, and like actually this morning, and I got caught up in so much traffic and almost got in a couple accidents too. So great stuff driving here in Florida. But Alison, you moved to Florida how long ago?
I've been back and forth from here for about 3 years, maybe 4 now. Okay, I started coming down here to see my fiance. He lived here. And we got a house together, so I'm still kind of all over the place.
And you're from St. Louis, right?
Mm-hmm. From St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, and how I know Alison is, I actually was doing a photo shoot with Derek, a photographer. Shameless plug. He's amazing. D. LeBlanc. Yeah, at the D. LeBlanc Photography, something like that. I'll tag him when I post this. But yeah, I was shooting with him, and I'm like, if you listen to our last podcast with Rachel, I'm like, hey, it's hard to make friends, reaching out if you're in a new place is like always like suck up your pride, be like, hey, I need some friends. It's pretty much what I told Derek, and he connected me with Alison. She's amazing. We went on riverboat gondola tours together, ate some Casa Sensei sushi at what was it, the Fort Lauderdale, what's that little river, what is the river called?
It's called,
yeah, I'm drawing a blank too. What is it, Evan?
The riverfront?
Riverfront? Yeah, is this called the riverfront?
Called something.
I really don't know what it's called.
The Intercoastal.
Yeah, I guess it's the Intercoastal.
Right?
I'm still learning Florida, y'all. But it was like super cute. We had like a girls' night out. I got to meet all of them.
So
she's
cute.
Like such a genuine, great person. So I wanted to ask her on the podcast, and she has like an amazing Instagram too. So just giving some social media tips.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, I'm glad you drove all up here like through all the freaking traffic. So.
Traffic is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, I just want to get started like with social media tips. A lot of people like slide in my DMs. Honestly, I'm not the best with like social media. I feel like I'm all over the place sometimes, but your social media is just super great. You have like a theme, like you have a great aesthetic. Maybe you could give some tips to people about how like to grow your social media following. You have a great following, and like how to build up your brand.
Yeah, I actually coach brand strategy, both personal and business, with my company, Uprise Marketing. Cool. And the number one thing right now is Reels. Well, first, consistency. You have to be consistent, but posting Reels and being super active on TikTok. Those are the fastest growing platforms, and Instagram. We kind of knew this, honestly, 5-6 years ago that it was going to convert into video. So I think I had a lot of luck knowing that, slowly posting more videos before that transition happened, and now that's really where the growth is. The algorithm is completely different for video outlets than for photos because they want to shift that over. So if you're posting videos, it's going to be spread to a whole new audience than just a small, tiny fraction of the audience that you already have that Instagram only shows.
I feel like a lot of questions I get, like, because I do agree. I'm telling people, I'm like, Reels is like where it's at. If you're on Instagram, like Reels is where it's at. And you need to get on TikTok, translate those Instagram Reels to TikTok. Because it's easy to grow on TikTok because there's no like chronological timeline of who you're following. You see everybody, especially who you're around. Sometimes I'm like, how do they know I'm in Boca right now? But
I know,
it's kind of a little creepy. I'm like, oh, this girl from like Fort Lauderdale or like Miami. So I'm like, they know where I'm at. And then when I go back home to North Carolina, they're like, know where I'm at in Raleigh, which is a little creepy. But I mean, that's helping a lot of people grow if they don't really know anyone.
It is.
Show
It
up
is.
on the
And
For You
TikTok
page.
is very niche specific. So it's going to show you, the more you use the app, it will show you the content that you like and that they know you're going to watch. And so it's able to deliver your videos directly to the people that are going to want to see them. So you have a higher chance of people following you and in turn following you on Instagram and other social media channels, which is really cool about TikTok.
Yeah. And my thing is, like, if you had to give advice to someone, a lot of people are like, I don't know where to start with a video. Like, what would you say?
You just have to start.
Yeah.
Honestly. Nobody knows what they're doing at first. I didn't when TikTok first came out. I think I started it in 2020. So I guess I was like early than the millennials like on there. I was like one of the first millennials on TikTok, but Gen Z had already been on it for about a year or two. So I got in at that time and I didn't know what to do. So I was just posting videos that I already had before, like while I was learning.
Yeah.
And then TikTok is weird. I mean, all of a sudden some of my videos would like blow up to 1 million views. I'm like, what did I even do?
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to find what works for you and start posting the same types of content. And really it's mostly about following the trends, which a lot of people at first when they get the app, they're like, well, I don't want to just do what everyone else is doing, but that's what the app is all about. The entire app is following the trends and basically copying everybody else, but making it your own and specific to your niche.
Yeah, I feel like people don't want to copy other people. And they're like, I don't want to copy that. Well,
that's what TikTok is.
Yeah, that's what
It's
TikTok
just,
is. You put your own twist to it too. Like make it you. And that's how I grew on social media as well. Like during quarantine, I was really, really bored, and so everyone was hating on TikTok all the time. They're like, oh my god, that's such a kid's thing. But I'm like, YOLO, I'm just gonna do it. I'm bored here, sitting in my house. I started making videos. Like had my phone up on like a stand and started making videos, and just like random stuff like blew up. Like
I know, it's crazy. Yeah, you have a really good following on TikTok.
Yeah, I don't really know what I did, honestly. Someone's like, what's your viral video? I'm like, there was like a couple of just random ones that just grew.
It's always the ones that you don't even try that you're like, I'm just going to put this.
I
and
think
then the
ones
like, you spend all day on, it's like 20 views. What?
I know. And that's why people get frustrated, I think, because like, there'll be like one, I just like posted like a crappy selfie video and it blew up, and then the one I actually like hired someone like didn't even do anything.
No, it's like that, but it does say a lot about how to deliver on the app. It's very opposite of Instagram, because Instagram is all about your highlight reel and showing perfection and the ideal life, and TikTok is all about real and relatable, and people don't want to see the perfect stuff on TikTok. They want to see how you really are. They want to see you at home with no makeup on. Like, it's just a very different demographic on TikTok, a very different audience, and so it's really, that's why I think the dumb stuff blows up, because people just...
Well, I was telling Rachel in the last podcast, I was like, every time I look on TikTok, I get like all the cheater video, like how to find it. Like I'm like, there's just like some crazy stuff on TikTok. There's some very informational stuff. I was learning about like, I don't even know, kings and queens of England, like lineage. And then the next video would be like a cheater. I think it is a lot more authentic than Instagram.
The videos.
Sometimes I'm like, wow, I know all about this girl's dating life and history. But I think that's what makes TikTok unique. And I do like try to tell people, even if you don't know where to start, like put your Instagram reels or whatever videos you have, just start pumping them out. You don't know what's going to go viral.
And then the more you watch other people's videos, and what I always tell my clients also is watch the people that you want to be like. So the people that really influence you to want to create content, watch what they do and copy it. Do the same thing, but put your own twist on it.
I see no shame in copying people, as long as you're like putting your own twist on it, being you. Like I don't see any shame. And a lot of people, there's a lot of cat fights on like TikTok and Instagram, like people copying another person. But honestly, it's flattery to me if someone copies my video. I'm like,
if it's very specific, then I always credit the person, like idea from so and so, and I tag them. But usually the trends, everybody's doing the same thing. It's hard to like research. First of all, I've been in law school. I don't want to do any more research than I have to do. But it's like hard sometimes to research back to feel like who's the original creator to tag. But although I don't understand when people say that when it's like a very broad trend, because all you have to do is click on the audio and then you can see the first video will be on there. So they're going to get blown up. If my video blows up, their video blows up. So it's a win-win.
I don't know. Honestly, you can go back to, I know people are like, it's not that hard. You can click the sound and find the original creator and tag. I always try to tag if I like get inspo from someone, especially if it is very specific. Now, how about like reaching out for collab? I get a lot of messages. You probably do too, about like, oh my gosh, how do you like start with collaborations and then getting paid posts? Like, where did you start out?
Well, I started on Instagram before an influencer was a thing.
Yeah.
That term, no one knew what that was.
I was still using like the Instagram filter. Like
yes, no, the terrible filters. Like if you go
like,
all the way back
filters.
on my Instagram, it's like, what is this?
And like the selfies at the
but I saw there was a select few people on Instagram that were just normal, everyday people that blew up on Instagram, and I saw that they were getting product endorsements, and at that time it was usually just, you know, getting free product, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like, you can get free stuff for posting. Now I'm like, no way. But I thought that was really cool, and I was like, you know what, if these are just like regular people, they're not celebrities doing this, why can't I do it? Like, I'm just gonna start doing it. And I was a senior in high school, I think, when I kind of first started, and then I got serious about it in college, and it wasn't very popular to do that then, and I wish that I didn't let my friends influence me so much, because I definitely toned it down more than I would. I would have made more videos and tutorials and stuff, but I got made fun of by everyone, even my friends. But I saw an opportunity there, and it's what I wanted to do, and it's still what I want to do, and I love it, and so there's really no problem with that. But now, because I did that and took those steps to, you know, reach out to brands and start creating content that brands would like, although it wasn't popular at the time, and now the same people are messaging me, hey, how did you get started as
I
an
know,
influencer?
it's funny how your haters become your biggest fans. Not gonna. I mean, I could talk a lot about that. I remember when I started out, the same thing happened. Like, people were like, oh my gosh, why are you posting this, posting that? It made me like tone down myself. And then all of a sudden, I'm just like, I don't really care what you think anymore. I'm going to post like what I want to post. Like, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. If you want to follow it, you follow it. Once you like kind of stop caring about the counts and everything, I mean, your following will build, because people want to see you and your authentic self. And I think that's like super important. Like, I tell people, I'm like, who cares like what other people think? I mean, as long as you're doing what you love to do and showcasing who you are, like, it will grow, and there'll be brands that love it. And so
and I think when it comes to working with brands, if you're somebody that doesn't currently work with brands and you're wanting to get more brand deals and figure that out, really the strategy there is to come up with your own personal brand strategy, so that when a brand goes to your page, they know who you are, they know what you're about, they know if you would be a good fit for their brand. And really the number one thing is make sure you put in your bio at the top, like, what is your page all about? Like, when I go to your page, what can I expect to see? Is it travel, fashion, lifestyle? You know, it's really good to put those things in there. Where do you live? What is it that you do? Like, what can I expect from your page? And I think that really helps with brands. So starting with who you are, but also then building on that with your personal brand, your page aesthetic, making sure everything flows. All of that is so important when brands look at your page. I mean, it's kind of like your resume.
Yeah, honestly, it's your little digital profile, online resume. And I have when brands reach out, too. I think there's an importance not only having a set like Instagram aesthetic, you know, here's what I do, like in your bio, but also maybe you have one, I know you have to have one, like a little social media press kit. Like, it's kind of like your little pitch to brands too, when they like reach out. Like, I have like a little press kit, like here's me, and this is what I can offer you. Like, what is yours like?
Mine's a one-pager. Some people have like the 10 pages of all their analytics and stuff, but for me, I've worked on the brand side as well, where I've recruited influencers, and I'm not going to read all that. Like, give me a one page where I know, like, you know, are your followers real? What's your engagement? What are you about? Are you a good fit for this brand? I just want to see that. Pictures are good. Experience is good. How well your other campaigns went. That's all the information you need. You don't want to make it super complicated, because then, you know, you're going to be overwhelmed. The person looking at it will be overwhelmed, and they are going to just skim through it and be like, okay, I don't really know what this person's about next. Yeah,
just like, I think sometimes like on Instagram Reels, like people do like the 60-second one. Sorry, sometimes I'm not going to watch for 60 seconds. Like, keep it short and sweet.
Under 15 seconds.
Yeah, like even when people are talking about job resumes, like keep it to one page. Like, you don't want to read like 15 pages of like all this stuff you're doing. Like, give the highlight reel. And that's what, you know, I definitely tell to people as well. Now, how'd you do, like, your aesthetic is, I love it. It's, like, very travel-esque. Like, explain your aesthetic.
My aesthetic
like, travel fashion. It's kind of
is very, I don't know if color-coded is the right word.
Yeah.
The colors flow. It's a flow. I sometimes go from, like, super colorful posts to, like, a pink aesthetic. And then when I was in the Maldives, you know, everything's teal and, like, beige and green colors. And then I'll go to, like, neutrals. And I just kind of, like, let it flow together. Not that that's, like, completely necessary to be successful on Instagram. Yeah. It's just what I like to do. And I have a planner app for that. So I batch content a lot. I get a lot of content, you know, around here, wherever I'm traveling. Or, you know, I've done lots of, like, travel photo shoots where you get, you know, all this content at once. And then I'm not going to post all of it at once. So I have to have it for, like, the rest of the year. I can space it out. So I just put all of this stuff into my planner app, which I think it's called Preview.
Okay.
Is what I use. And so then I don't forget about the photos that I have, and I can pull them back later. Like, okay, right now I'm posting kind of like black and white tones. Oh, I have this picture from last November I can pull down here that goes with it. So it's kind of crazy, smart. But that's what I do.
I mean, I forget about a bunch of photos. Sometimes I scroll back on my phone and I'm like, oh my God, that was so cute. Why did I post that? But I do think, you know, you don't want to post all your good photos at once and then you're kind of like left with no content. I used to do that a lot. I used to like post like all my good photos. I'm like, crap, now I have nothing for like a couple weeks till my next shoot.
Right. So. I do think it's super important to have a planning app for the consistency aspect. And so to make sure that you're really conveying what you want. I didn't start doing that probably till like 2 years ago, and I would just post whenever I wanted, when I'm like, who cares? But I mean, I think it shows when you just kind of slap stuff on the page and then one thing all of a sudden won't go and you didn't realize because you didn't plan it out, and you're like,
and then it's just like, oh, great, yeah.
Yeah, so I do think that it matters. I think it says a lot about you when you go to someone's page, especially if you're pitching to brands and a brand goes to my page and they can see like, oh wow, like her page aesthetic is very like cohesive, it all goes together, and like they know they can expect that from me in work that I present to them.
Yeah, I feel like you want to put like show that you're the whole package, but not only that you can present not only yourself well, but a brand well as well.
Yeah,
there's a lot of wells going on in there, but yeah, brand well as well. So and like we did the riverfront gondola tours, like. I try to put together like a reel real fast because I'm like someone who likes to not only do something immediate. So I'm like, hey, I gave your content back quickly, because some people don't really do that. They'll like wait months and months, and I feel like brands kind of get upset.
I always say like give them a window of when they can expect it. And I actually posted, with this particular collaboration, I posted a TikTok trend and kind of like snuck their brand in there just because, you know, maybe this might go viral, maybe it won't. But it wasn't like my official post for them that they were expecting, and they thought that was my my ad. And I was like, no, I will send it to you when it's done. Like, you just have to like make sure everything's communicated, or else they're like, okay, they were like, oh, thank God, because we thought you just, you know, we did this whole tour and you're just gonna post that. I was like, no, that's just a bonus. Like,
I feel like communication is key, because there is like, even on TikTok I've seen like where brands like call influencers that like, well, they'll send them their stuff and like pay them, and then they don't even post, and I'm like, I don't want to be that girl.
No, so I'm always many influencers do that, and it puts like a really bad reputation on the industry. Models too. I have a friend that I'm doing a shoot with this weekend, and he paid 2 or 3 models and, you know, paid for their flights to come out here to do this campaign. And they're like, oh, sorry, I have this thing. And they just take the money and run. I'm like, what? Like, how is that?
That is such
You're not, like, I would be so embarrassed to do that.
That is such a normal thing I've learned in the industry. And that really is sad, because it takes away a lot of, like, good brands, like, paying actual, like, really good influencers like yourself, or, you know, they'll just stop altogether, and they're like, we're not even going to do this. And it sucks for the people who like really want to put content out there, not only from themselves, but they want to represent the brand as well. And that's what I feel like. I run into that a lot, where people are like, well, we had like a really bad collaboration with this one person. I'm like, oh, great. Ruin it for all of us. So like, if you're out there trying to do collaborations, make sure you communicate with the brands, especially because yeah, that kind of gets a little sketchy when you don't.
Yeah, and contracts.
Yeah.
Contracts.
You know, being in a law firm too, I'm like, contracts. Like,
Yeah.
read those
because
contracts.
the brands will do the same thing too.
Yeah.
They will not pay you if you don't, you know, set it up. And that's never fun.
Yeah, I'm always a big proponent, if you're doing anything business, have something in writing, because if you're going to go at it willy-nilly, I've had people in my DMs like, I did this contract, like, I did this influencing for this brand, and they didn't even pay me, and I was like, did you have a contract? No. Did you have something in writing? No. And we just talked on the phone. Like, I'm like, no, you got to have something in writing if you're going to do anything with any brand, even if it's just a simple message that you can go back and be like, hey, you told me you're going to pay me, like, we have this.
Yeah.
But I would, you know, if I were you, I'd prefer to, like, get someone to make a contract for you. Have an attorney look over it.
And list all the deliverables, what's expected, so then you know, like, right from the get-go what the brand expects from you, what you're going to give to them. And so then if they're going to say, oh, because, you know, sometimes brands will say, well, we're not going to send the payment because you didn't do this thing we wanted. And you're like, what? That was not communicated. So then you could say, hey, in the contract, we had X, Y, and Z. I delivered X, Y, and Z. Now it's time to pay up.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like a lot of people I've run into, you know, kind of miss that aspect of having a contract. And I do think that's very important. I didn't do that with brands at first, and now, like, that's... Yeah. I was like, all right, here's the contract. So we don't have any discrepancies about what's being posted, and that, you know, we're going to do just these 3 stories or 3 posts or what, a reel, and we're going to get paid.
Yeah. You know, another thing that brands will try to scam influencers for, and I think it's important to bring it up, is they'll say, okay, I'm going to pay you X amount of dollars for this collab. And then you deliver it to them, and they are new in the industry, and they expect you to give them like $1 million in sales overnight.
Yeah.
And the thing is, influencers are not salespeople.
No.
You're not salespeople. You wouldn't pay for a billboard and then say, well, how many sales did we get from this bill? It's not as measurable as you think, because they'll say, oh, well, you could use the link. And yeah, to an extent, you can have, you know, the coupon codes, the links, and all of that can measure, you know, direct purchases, but that's not everyone that's going to purchase.
No.
So they may see one influencer's ad for a product, they might see mine, and then they might get a Facebook ad later that day and then purchase, but they were influenced by my post.
Yeah.
But it's not tracked.
Yeah, see, that I do think is important, because I do have brands that are like, how many did you sell from this post? I'm like, I don't think it's
You're
about...
not a salesperson.
We're not salespeople. We're here... What influencers are is we influence people, you know, purchase. We're part of that little network of other influencers representing the same brand, like influencing other people to purchase. So, you know, like you said, they'll see my post, subsequently, if we're representing the same brand, see your post, they're like, okay, crap, I guess I got to buy this now. And they're not going to use any of our links. They might go just Google it on Amazon. They don't.
And as someone who has I have a boutique. I think you have a boutique too, right?
No, I don't. I used to own like a baseball company.
Oh, I thought
someone at the office here outed me for that. Just gonna. Oh. He knows his name if he's listening, so we're not about that. But no, I used to have. That used to be like when I was 19 years old. I used to have I hustled real hard, and I had like a baseball, like a boutique. Don't even know it. Yeah, but I make good money from that. But yeah, I don't do boutiques anymore. But I like boutiques.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I have a boutique with my friend that's really like just for fun, but. All of our sales are through Instagram. And what I've found, I mean, we've offered literally 40% off coupon codes, which that's a lot. That's a lot. Especially for a small business, you're basically giving it away for free. I mean, you are. And what was really shocking that we noticed is that probably only, honestly, less than 50% of people used it. And they would purchase something directly from an ad that had the coupon code on it, but they would not use the coupon code. So what that told me is that with any influencer sales that I get, that's not even half of what it's getting in the immediate. Yeah. I mean, how many times do you see something and you immediately buy it? You don't. You remember it, and then later you think about it and you buy it. Usually it takes somebody 7 times to see something until they make a purchase. So for brands to expect sales like that from an influencer is very unrealistic.
Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, too, because, I mean, even as myself as a user, like, I, like, look at something. I've seen it on TikTok, like, a million times. Like, for instance, there's, like, the some makeup that I was using, and I like saw it a million times, and I'm like, finally, I'm gonna go get it. I didn't use that girl's link. I just went on Sephora and just like purchased the powder myself. Right. But like after seeing it like several times, I'm like, okay, it looks great. I gotta buy it now.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So the influencer influenced you to purchase.
Yeah.
But you didn't purchase it. Right. Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah. So I think that's, if any brands are listening, like definitely keep that in mind when you're talking with influencers. Like don't like have this expectation, oh, you didn't sell like 100 pieces in 1 week or a day. Like I have gotten that a lot. And I'm like, oh my God, pressure.
Or what drives me nuts is when they're like, well, we can offer you this and commission. It's like, do you know how many emails I get a day asking for commission? That is not any value to me. I'm not going to be a salesperson for 100 different brands.
No,
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah. And then like honestly, there's a lot of time that takes in curating a post. Like we have like, you know, the photo shoot aspect. Even if I'm just doing it self on my phone, like it takes time out of my day to go do all that. And I have to like, for any content, I have to set aside a couple hours in my day just to go shoot. And
that's in the immediate. Then you have to edit and plan.
Yeah. And I'm not going to post it right away. Like I'm going to give it some time and make sure I post at a decent hour where there's a lot of people coming in and on my, you know, a lot of traffic coming in on my profile. So I feel like a lot of people misconstrue the social media where like, oh, it's just easy. They're just taking a photo. No, like they can do it right now.
Maybe at the very beginning, it used to just be like skinny tea. And it was just like selfies. It's not like that anymore. I mean, you're doing a full-on ad campaign for brands by yourself with your own equipment, with your own time, with your own ideation.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
It is a lot. And I feel like, you know, if you're going to actually do it right, you got to, you know, put the time, you got to put the effort in, you got to do the editing. You got to do it right. I mean, sometimes, like we said on TikTok, the random, like, fuzzy selfie post, like video of me, like no makeup, just will go viral. Don't know how that happened. But for the most part, like consistency and like professional look, that's what I always tell people. It does best in the long term. It's not just like a one-off thing. Like in the long term, it's going to look good. All right. So enough about social media. Hopefully you guys got good insight on like what to do, what brands should look out for, and brands. Hopefully, got some free, you know, social media coaching here, and that's what she does.
People pay me money for that. I just
for real. You just got some like free advice there. We're gonna go into dating. I know you're engaged. I'm not. Obviously y'all know she's got that ring though. What up? You and your fiance are so cute. See y'all on the gram, like precious. How did you guys meet?
How we met is a pretty crazy story. It's kind of a long story, but we have time here. Long story short, he slid in my DMs. Hey, shocking.
It's always a slide in the DMs.
No, it is definitely a lot more effort than that. So he slid in my DMs about March, I think it was 2017. And at that time, I was a NHL ice girl for the St. Louis Blues, which was so much fun. I loved that job. And I had just left that job around that time, and he messaged me and said, hey, I see on your Instagram that you like baseball. Like, corny. Okay, but I was in the industry for 2 years at that point already, and honestly, like, every time a new team would come in town, I would get messages from the opposing team? Opposing team, being like, hey, can I give you tickets? Let's hang out, or whatever. I'm not dumb. Okay, like I'm not dumb.
When you like work in sports, you realize that like those athletes who do that.
And I'm not going to sell myself for a pair of hockey tickets. Okay, like
I'm good. I can buy it myself.
No, but I'll take the tickets. Sure.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna
take
hang out with you.
Like if you're gonna offer that, then yeah. I would take my parents all the time. They had a freaking blast. Or sometimes I would just give them to my parents, like, hey, somebody.
And then they're like expecting a hot chick there, and then it's like your parents.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're going to play the game, I'll play right along with you there.
I like this.
So, anyway, that's kind of what my expectation was with this DM. He asked if I liked baseball, if I wanted tickets to a game. So I gave him my number to get tickets. I was like, okay, sure. He was really, really cute. I mean, don't get me wrong. His Instagram, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so attractive. He's, you know, he loves Jesus, I see. Like, I really like that. But, like, I know how these athletes are. Yeah. You know, maybe I'll get lunch with him or something. Just because I don't know. He just seemed, like, really nice. Like, really different. I just wanted to, like, get to know him, but I didn't want any expectation of anything else there.
Yeah.
So maybe a lunch, but I would have happily accepted the ticket. So I gave him my number. And then this man kept like, he was texting me every day, and I was like, all right, this is a little, like, I don't know about this guy. I think he's a little obsessed with me, and he was. And then he started sending me gifts.
Okay.
And he sent me his jersey for Mother's Day. It was like all pink, and he's like, oh, I know you like pink, so can I send this to you? I was like, okay. And like, he like signed it. I was like, corny. Okay, whatever. Like, thanks, I guess. And then he went to Mexico and like sent me like a bracelet, and then he sent me for my 21st birthday a bouquet of roses that was so big that the delivery people had to come back because they couldn't deliver it by themselves. It was like taller than this.
Oh my gosh.
It was 12 dozen roses. It was the biggest, like, most extravagant thing I've ever received.
And were y'all dating?
I've never met him. Never met him at this point. So I get home, and my parents knew how I was. I'm really independent. I wasn't looking for a boyfriend, clearly. I just wasn't really into dating or any of that at that point in my life, and I just wasn't really wanting that. And so when they saw all these roses show up to our house, I was living with my parents at the time. They were like, Allison, what did you do? Like, is this a Cuban marriage proposal? He's Cuban, by the way. Is this a Cuban marriage proposal? Like, what is going on? Like, you need to, like, tell him, like, do you like him? Like, he obviously thinks you like him or something. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't say anything. I didn't, like, meet up with him. There's no expectations. Like, I don't know what's going on. And then he kept calling me. Like, he kept trying to fly me out to Miami to see him. And at the time, he was playing for the Miami Marlins. And, like, I'm just not going to fly and meet some guy I don't even know. Like, I'm just not going to do that. Plus, I was living under my father's roof. You think he was going to let me do that either?
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
And so then it came time where he was going to play the St. Louis Cardinals, where I lived. It was the first week of July, and he was texting me, hey, I'm so excited to finally meet you. I'm so excited to be in St. Louis. Like, I've been waiting forever to meet you. And coincidentally, I actually booked a trip to Florida, Tampa, Florida, to visit one of my friends. And that was actually, I think, it was my first flight by myself. So it's not even like I traveled, but I had this trip booked. Forgot all about him coming. I wasn't going to rearrange my plans for some guy I don't even know.
Girl, yes.
And I felt kind of bad, but not really. So I was like, I love that. I'm sorry. Like, I'm actually going to be in Florida. Like, it's kind of ironic. So that was that. And then my friend that I was with in Tampa, she kind of started dating his cousin a little bit, which, whatever. Like, that was fine. And then he got traded to Tampa Bay when I was there. Yeah. Like, so literally, I think it was like 3 days.
That was like meant to be.
Yeah, like 3 days before I left, he got traded to Tampa Bay, and I was there with her and his cousin, and he drove up all his stuff. So I ended up meeting him there in Tampa, and I really, like, connected with him. I really liked him, but I was like, okay, I'm never going to see you again. Bye. Like, I just didn't really have any expectations with that going anywhere, but I couldn't really stop thinking about him. I didn't let him know that. Oh. Like, obviously, I wasn't going to say that. But I really liked him. But I'm like, he's a baseball player. Like, no. This is not going to happen.
I've been there, done that, dude.
No.
Obviously, see where I'm at right now.
Yeah, so then he calls me one day. I think this was like a week or two after. And he says, hey, I have an off day tomorrow. I'm going to fly to St. Louis. Is that okay? I was like,
That's aggressive.
Okay.
But okay, yeah.
Sure. I know. I'm like, okay, I guess. So he comes to St. Louis for less than 24 hours to see me, and he met all my friends there. I took him around St. Louis. We went to Anheuser-Busch Brewery. We went to the Arch. We went to the Hill and had pasta, like, really nice dinner. And my friends were there, and my friends were like, Allison, if you don't date him, I will. Like, he is so serious about you. He, like, wants you to be his wife. Like, he's, like, you can tell that that's what he's wanting. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, quit playing. Like, if you do, he's going to find somebody else. Like, he's a good-looking man. He's, like, you know, super attractive. He's got so much going on for him. He treats you amazing. And I was like, okay, I don't want anyone else to have him. So
and then
that's how we were together. And then a year and a half later, we got engaged.
Oh my gosh, that is so cute. Obviously, that's never happened to me because you see me right And normally, everyone on my podcast is single, so it's like nice to hear someone who's got like a healthy, nice relationship. And, you know, I think taking away from that is that you kind of came in with like no expectations and you're like not expecting it at all. And I feel like when you least expect it, it happens. Like, who the heck knew he's going to get traded to Tampa Bay?
I think
that
it
was like meant to be.
I was very, like, adamant about not wanting a serious relationship or a relationship at all. And I feel like that was a sign from God, like, really, Allison, if you're not going to, like, take what I put right in front of you, I'm just going to move him where you are.
I'm just going to move him
and
where
like,
you are. I think that's, like, a serious sign. Like, you
it really was.
It was, like, a huge sign.
And it was kind of funny because I remember my dad was stalking him on social media, like, who is this guy sending her stuff, some baseball player, like, I don't like this. And then my dad was like, when he saw the trade headlines, he goes, oh, so that's why you're going to Tampa, because you want to see him. I was like, Dad, literally, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Like, no idea.
He can control the trades.
They find out when they get traded as soon as everyone else finds out in the media, sometimes even after everyone else finds out.
Oh, my gosh.
But there was a time he got traded to the Atlanta Braves, and we found out after, or at least I did. I think he did maybe at the same time, but we weren't together. So it wasn't even enough time for him to call me. And I get a notification on my phone, and Danish Rodriguez traded Atlanta Braves. I was like, what? Is this? Right. I sent it to him like, okay, so we're moving? All right. Cool.
That is a crazy life you have. I mean, you've been moving around with him, like Atlanta, and is he in Miami now? I'm sorry, I don't keep up with
Miami is kind of like
his home base.
Home base,
okay.
Yeah, home base. It's where he trains in the off season.
Yeah.
And he's Cuban, so here there's a lot of Cuban culture.
Yeah.
His family lives here, so he's here in the off season, which honestly, like, it's hard to really say that we like live here. Cause he's only here for a month out of the year, usually a month or two. So,
well, I'm glad you were here so I can meet you.
Yeah,
because you're really great, and like we had a great dinner the other night. And there was like one story you told about him where he like ate the wine glass.
Oh yeah,
I think that was so funny.
He is an interesting person. Like, you just, like, he surprises me a lot with some of the stuff he does. He, like, he's one of those people that doesn't say much. Yeah. And then when he does, you're like, what?
Like, you're just dumbfounded. I love that.
He's very funny. He doesn't mean to be funny.
How many bad dates did you have leading up
I had a few bad dates. Honestly, not too many because I didn't date. Yeah. I've never liked dating. I've never really, like, been the type of girl that wants to have a boyfriend. Anytime I had a boyfriend before him, it was because they, like, tried really hard for a long time. And then I finally was like, okay, I'll give you a chance. Yeah. Like, I never was just didn't care.
Yeah.
So not too many. I think there was about, like, a year, maybe 6 months to a year period of time where I was dating around a little bit.
What is the worst date in that time?
The worst date, I mean,
you can be like general.
Honestly, I think it was this guy that I had like hyped up in my head. He was so cute. I don't want to like give too many details because I don't want to be mean, but he was so cute, and like I had a crush on him for the longest time, and he calls me. He like asked for my number for somebody else, calls me and asks me out on a date, picks me up and everything, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm gonna marry him.
Yeah.
He had no personality at all. Like, not
it's hard when you hype
personality.
Yeah, it's hard when you hype up someone in your head and you're like,
I know. And so it was that. I guess that was the worst date because I had to carry every single conversation, and it was just super awkward. And then the only time he initiated a conversation, he was like talking about his frat days or like partying, and I'm just like,
absolutely no. Guys, if you're going to go on a date, please do not talk about your party days or your, like, previous. I've had dates before where they talk about their party days, their previous dates, and they, like, bad talk women, and I'm just like,
what
okay, what's your favorite food? Like, the weather's nice. Like, I don't know what to say back to that, and I'm just like, okay, cool.
So the worst dates were doormat dates, and there was a lot of doormat dates. Guys that just didn't have a personality at all, and I was like,
I've been there where I hyped up someone in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is about to be amazing. Like, get ready for dinner, and I'm like, we don't say a word, and I'm just like, Oh, great. So here you go. We're going to start talking. Just like, someone bring me a dirty martini stat. I got to talk. Like, oh, those are the worst. Those are the worst. Like, oh my God.
I know. And
that's probably why you kind of came in with like no expectations for like your
fiance. I've just always been.
But you've always been like that.
I just wasn't into dating or boyfriends that much. The boyfriends that I had, like, I loved, but I didn't really care about them that much. Like, I did, but I cared for them, but like I wanted to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't like when people were like, oh, well, aren't you going to hang out with me? It's like, why do I need to hang out with you every day? Like,
I'm like that too. I'm like, I want to be my own person, do my own thing. You don't need to hang out with someone every day.
No, I think when you find the person that you're going to marry,
you want to.
That's when you know. When you want to be with them all the time, then you're like, okay, this is my person. Like, I always knew that I was going to marry Danny, but I didn't admit it to myself till a little bit later. I kept saying, oh, if he does this, I'm going to marry him. If he does this, and he did all the things, and I was like, okay, it's happening. But he was the only person that I wanted to, like, consistently see and, like, be with all the time. My other boyfriends, I was just like, they'd be like, so, can I come? I'm like,
no. And then that's when you're like, this is not the one. And, like, honestly, like, for me, like, time is precious. And so, like, if I know you're not the one, like, I'm just not going to waste my time. So I'm like, bye, sorry. And, and then when you, like, find the one, obviously, I haven't, but, like, she has, like, it's important to show successful dating stories out there.
Yeah.
And you're like, Yeah,
I think when you know, you know.
Yeah. I know it's like that cheesy line. You're like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, when you know, you know. But it's the truth.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he was the only guy that I ever felt like 100% comfortable with, like right off the bat.
Yeah.
It was never like awkward with him at all, even though we didn't even speak the same language.
That's what?
No.
That's crazy.
He didn't speak hardly any English when we first met at all. And you would think that would be really awkward, but it wasn't, honestly.
Well, then how did you communicate?
Google Translate.
Oh my gosh. So like, but you're just like on Google, hey.
Google Translate. He knew a little bit of English, but honestly, I taught him. I mean, now his English is fluent, and like
that's amazing.
People don't even know that he didn't know English 5 years ago. But
so language isn't a barrier for a relationship.
No,
we got
honestly,
Google Translate coming
really
on.
Not. So then you know. You
so shout out to Google Translate for y'all's like dating success
Google
at first.
Is amazing. And
not sponsored, but they should.
This is why, I mean, it was hard at first. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard, but I like stuck with it because, you know, because people are like, well, how are you with him? How do you with him if he doesn't speak English? Yeah. I'm like, well, I mean, he does a little bit, but I just had to look at it this way. Like, I'm like, he is learning a whole language for me. Like, he cares about me so much that he's willing to learn a whole new language and like speak in that language with me. And like, what am I doing for him? I'm not learning Spanish, you know, so. I mean, now I'm trying to learn Spanish better, but then I was like, that's like a huge sacrifice to do for somebody, and I think like that says a lot about who he is.
Yeah. Well, I can barely have someone to bring me on a date, so it's really nice to see there's a man willing to like learn a whole new freaking language for someone. I mean, that sets my you said you had no expectation. I'm like over here like, okay, crap, we got to get this expectation higher a little bit. But wow, like I said, it's important to show successful dating stories. We're a holistic podcast here. I'm not just going to be like, oh my gosh, guys, y'all are so bad at dating. There's some great men out there. I truly believe it. And I think, you know, your all's relationship is super cute and admirable. Something to aspire to have. Yeah, and then, like, with all you're doing on social media, obviously, you're an influencer, you're aspiring as well, and you're just a genuine soul. So, wanted to have you on the podcast just to talk about some social media. Obviously, we always talk about dating on here. But, yeah, I feel like you gave a lot of insight, and, you know, you always can shoot you a message if you read your DMs, and if y'all have any questions about social media, definitely reach out to her.
Yeah, I usually see all of the DMs that come through, and I try to respond to all of them with questions, but also my calendar is right on my website, uprisemarketing.co. Yeah. You can book a consult with me, and all the times are on there, so then you don't even have to, like, worry about trying to message me or anything. But I do like free initial consultations to make sure it's like the right fit, because some people it's like, maybe actually I know somebody that would be better for you than me. I'm not really in this niche, but that's probably one of the best ways too to get started. If for some reason I don't see the message, sometimes it doesn't, you know, come through. So yeah, but usually I see them.
Well, check her out on Instagram at Alison Bowles, right?
Alison Bowles with one L.
With one L.
Alison. Bowles. It's bowls, not bowels. LES.
Who's saying bowels out
A lot
here?
of people do.
All right, y'all go home now.
I was at a pageant.
Get on Google Translate. Learn how to say bowls.
I was at a pageant once, and they called me Alison Bowles on stage, and I was like,
oh, no. We're not going to the bathroom on that one. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Well,
That's
thank you
terrible.
for coming down and
Thanks for
braving the
having
Florida
me.
traffic. I really appreciate you. And thank y'all for listening to Validated by Victoria podcast. You can listen on Spotify and watch this on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe, download. You know, we want you to keep listening. We're going to have some more cool guests on, so stay tuned for our next episode. And thank you, Allison, for coming by. I appreciate you.
thanks for having me. This was so fun.
Bye, guys.